I'm here today to talk a little bit about best practices when it comes to video content. We all know that video content is king, especially as we approach 2020. They're saying 80% of internet traffic is going to be video. So if you're not on that video train, you're going to be run down by it. But video is intimidating, right? It's public speaking, but it lives on forever. No matter where you get rid of it, it will always be out there somewhere. And I think that's one of the reasons that people find video content intimidating. There are certain nuances that come with video presentation that can change up your whole strategy, can change up the look, the feel, from top to bottom when it comes to your video. So we're going to talk about how you can do that in a nutshell. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but I'll give you some of the ones that I have come across when I'm working with clients and some of the things that I've gleaned in my 20 years as a news anchor. One of the things I want to talk about today is what to wear. It's one of the most basic questions, but people get confused about what exactly it is. So if you're a woman, right? Jewel tones always look best, whether it's a bright green, unless you're in front of a green screen. Find out what your background is going to be before you go up there and wear a green dress and then you blend into everything that's behind you. But bright blues, bright pinks, yellow, orange even are colors that can look great, especially on somebody that has blue eyes. I know that orange is a good color on me because I have blue eyes and it makes them stand out. Contrary to popular belief, it's not always wearing the same color. For guys, that means wearing, I know it's traditional, but if you are going to be wearing a suit on video, it means wearing a navy blue or even a dark gray suit works best. You want to try and avoid anything that has small patterns. And the reason is that they moire. And I don't know if you've ever seen somebody on video where it looks like their shirt is dancing or their tie is dancing or their dress is dancing. And it depends on how good the camera is that's shooting you. But if you don't know what it is, I would suggest wearing either a larger pattern or no pattern at all. Stripes on a tie is fine, but tiny little polka dots, little tiny paisley prints, gingham, small checks, houndstooth, that kinds of stuff doesn't necessarily work the best on camera. So if you don't know what's going to be shooting you or where you're going to be, better safe than sorry. Gentlemen, and I always get a little bit of pushback from this, but I will tell you that every single person you see on TV is wearing makeup. You can see the difference. If you have you're sweaty, which is what happens to a lot of us when we get on camera. We get nervous or the lights are hot and we don't anticipate these kinds of things. It sops up that dewy glow and it makes it so there's not a light that's bouncing off the top of your nose that is people can't focus on what you're saying because you look like Rudolph. Despite the fact that men generally do not like to wear makeup, I always suggest at the very least a little bit of powder. The lights wash you out. The lights do things that you can't anticipate, so having a little bit of powder on there to help counter that and to also absorb some shine makes a big difference. I recommend MAC Cosmetics. They make makeup for theater and for camera, and they will not bat an eye at a guy going in there and saying, I'm doing video, I need something that will make me look my best. They'll tell you exactly where to go. They'll tell you what color you need. If you are in between shades, always go with something darker. That's a little tip of the trade because the lights will wash you out. Another question that I get often is, how do I up-level my energy? Well, let me tell you, when I was a newbie reporter, here's what I would do. I used to take something really basic, like, let's say like this earring. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but I used to take something basic like an earring or a pencil or a paper clip, and I would talk about it first I would start with 30 seconds, then I would go to 45 seconds, then I would go to 60 seconds. And I would, who has 60 seconds of information about a paperclip? It's metal, it bends, it holds paper together. But it gets your mind working on an ad lib type of basis so that you can just continue talking if your brain freezes at some point when you're in the middle of making your video and the show must go on. And so it helps train your mind to work that way. What I also used to do when I would do that is I would gush about this thing as if it had saved my life, transformed my marriage. Like, this paperclip is the best thing since sliced bread. You will not believe when I walked into my office and I saw this paperclip on my desk, I picked it up, I looked it up, I heard angels. What that does is it helps you get comfortable with that feeling of being over the top. And that's a question I get from a lot of people. When I'm doing video, I think I'm animated, and then I go back and I look at it and it looks like I am medicated or very sleepy or have not had my coffee that day, or you're a 14th cup like me. What I will tell you is that video has a way of muting everything from and magnifying flaws, but we'll get to that later. It mutes the features on your face. It mutes your energy. It mutes your voice. It mutes your gestures. One of the things that people ask when they talk about being animated and being excited about what they're talking about is you have to remember, well, you can sell bad product if your delivery is good, okay? And that is true. Not that anybody here sells bad product or that you want to sell bad product, but if your delivery is enthusiastic and passionate and energetic, you can compensate for a whole host of other flaws with your content or your product or your service or whatever it is that you're selling. So performance is key in all of this. This is show business, right? And you have to remember that. It's not that you're going for an Emmy or an Oscar, but when you are in front of a camera, you are putting on a show. And the key is you want people to keep watching and you want them to come back for more. So that first 7 to 8 seconds, that's primo, man. If they're not in to what you're saying in 7 or 8 seconds, they're out and you're never gonna get them back. So what I suggest, and this is something that seems very simple, but a lot of people fail to do it, is start your video with a smile. You don't need to go into a big long thing where you're branding yourself, you're wasting people's time if you do that. Don't do it. Smile and get right into it, right into what you're gonna say, right? Don't waste 10 seconds of their time with, I'm blah, 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 from blah, 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 blah. They don't care, they know who you are, that's why they're there. Get into what it is that you're gonna say. So greet your audience with a smile. That's the simplest way to connect with people who are watching you is smile. And it doesn't have to be a big, huge, cheesy, clowny grin, but even just having a slight upturn at the corner of your mouth will keep you from having resting bitch face. And I used to have resting bitch face until I caught myself in a monitor one time and I'm like, oh my God, I look very annoyed. I need to smile more. So smile. It's really simple, but a lot of people forget to do it because they're so focused on what it is that they're going to say. One other thing, a big question that I get is I use my hands too much when I talk. And you may have noticed I use my hands when I talk. Here's what I think about hands. And we've had this discussion before. Unless you're doing something like this, your hands are not distracting. You talk with your hands. People naturally talk with their hands. And to try and stifle that natural communication, what it does is it has an effect that kind of puts a wet blanket over the rest of your delivery as well. If you're focused on this because you think you talk too much with your hands, it ends up affecting what comes here, it ends up affecting what's here, it ends up affecting your natural movement, it ends up affecting where you look. We look down to gather our thoughts. That's normal. I think that's fine. You don't have to have a camera lock on somebody and have a staring contest with them like this. That's awkward and nobody likes that either. Use your hands. It's okay to use your hands. It's a natural part of conversation. And when it's thoughtful and intentional and it amplifies your message, then by all means, use your hands to talk. But be interesting. Whatever it is that you're doing up here, make sure that it is interesting.